So here we are for part 2 of the custom items that you sent in. It's yet another chonker with interesting ideas. Once again, it will be an unscripted video, so just prepare yourself for that. If you haven't seen part 1, I will put up a link in the top right corner now. Before getting into the items, just a reminder that all my links and socials, as usual, will be in the pinned comment and the description. And with that, let's continue with item number 10. Moving on to item 10. And we have Greatsword. What? These are getting these are getting more expensive as I go through. Eventually, it's going to be like 10,000 gold. So we've got 3,700 gold cost, 80 physical damage, what is that a typo? 1 physical penetration. I think that's meant to be 10 or 10%. For the price, I think, yeah, that's probably a typo. 1 seems a bit like a middle finger at that price. No, yeah, so this is just a flat damage chonker sword. I think we can probably say it's probably going to look like a kind of JRPG sword, or just a very huge, like a colossal weapon in Elden Ring, maybe. Something like that. But yeah, we need items like that. There's always a nice time where you can buy an item and you don't need to use a passive. Or think about a passive and an active. But yeah. Moving on to item 11. Meat Cleaver. So we've got a sword and a meat cleaver now. 3,000 gold. 20 physical damage. 10 physical armor. 10 magical armor. And 100 health. The passive is Cleave. How ironic. Cleave damage now does not do reduced damage. And additionally, it does an extra 30% damage. Wait, what? When it says cleave damage, does it mean... Because there's an item which, in Pred, it allows you to hit 1 minion, but it actually does like a cone attack and attacks multiple. Is that what that means? Because that's what I'm thinking. Because it doesn't specify what it means, but I think that's what it means. Killing an enemy minion with cleave damage, grants 1 permanent stack of determination. Killing an enemy hero with cleave damage, with cleave damage, grants 5 permanent stacks of determination. Every 10 stacks gain 15 health and 2 physical damage. So those stacks are permanent. Yeah. So that is a really strong item, because it not only gives damage, it gives armor and HP. For the price, that's really powerful. It sounds cool. If it does what I think it does. If it doesn't, then I'm probably going to get a comment saying, what the fuck? But I think that's what it means. 1 permanent stack of determination gives 5. There must be a max, right? There must be a max limit of stacks, because otherwise this could go on forever. I would say a good place to stop that would probably be 20. I think 20 would probably be still quite strong, but I think 20 stacks would be an ideal place to stop it, because otherwise you're going to end up getting more than 300 HP bonus and like 40 physical damage, which is potentially a lot, depending on what other items you've got in your build. It sounds like it's meant to be on a melee hero, so yeah, that could end up being quite strong. So the item itself is quite nice, actually. It gives some kind of new ideas to add to cleave, which again, I think I am remembering correctly, but I think just a little bit of tweaking and that could be a valid item to add in, maybe. Wink wink. Let's move on to item number 12. We have Kallari's Cloak. It gives you 40 magical damage and 15 attack speed. Again, I assume percentage. Passive, upon killing an enemy hero, gain stealth for 3 seconds, and your next ability casted while stealth will deal 10% extra damage with a 10-second cooldown. It's kind of hard to base this because there's no price, but I assume that will be in the 1,000 to 1,500 range? Maybe slightly higher? Because it gives you stealth. I assume it's the same stealth as Kallari, where there's like a circle around you. I do like that. That's an interesting item choice. It can add a lot to a caster. Like if you had Gideon going like stealth for 3 seconds and he just jumps on the enemy team and ults, that could be really strong. But again, I don't think it's terribly overpowered, because if it's like Kallari, you could easily just walk near him and he'd be like, ruh-roh, time to skedaddle. But yeah, that could work. That could be interesting. So number 13 is Parasitic Bond. It's going to be me and Pred when it comes out. So 10 physical armor, 200 mana, and 200 health. Active is steal a nearby hero's healing from all sources for 3 seconds and channel it to you and a nearby ally hero, splitting the healing evenly. I mean, that's a really anti-healer item, really, isn't it? They've got a Nabash. Oh, use your E, mate. You just basically take his heals and say, no, these are mine now. And I'm also going to heal this guy over here. So really, it just sounds like a kind of... It could be a bruiser, like a bruiser item. 10 physical armor, 200 mana, 200 health. Or a support item, I guess. Could be used on someone like Muriel, who can't actually provide heals herself. Just kind of leech off someone else. Like an enemy Nabash support or something like that. Or Chimera. Oof, imagine that, Chimera. Oh, poof, goodbye healing. I'm going to take this for myself. I like that. Moving on to item number 14. Agitator. 3,200 gold, 20 physical damage, 30 attack speed, and 5 physical pen. Passive. Hitting a target applies a stack of agitation. When the target reaches 8 stacks, it is stunned for 0.3 seconds. I assume this is for like a carry or maybe just a pure damage melee hero. I think the 0.3 seconds could potentially be up to 0.5 because 0.3 is kind of low. Unless it's just meant to be kind of like a quick stagger, then maybe. But for the price though, I think it could maybe be bumped up to 0.5 because the stats on it aren't particularly strong, like 20 physical damage, 30 attack speed. Well, I assume that's percent, and 5 physical pen. So yeah, I think it could potentially... I think the only thing I would change is the stun duration to 0.5. It's not a small increase. I mean, it's not a big increase, the other way around. But I think it would give it a nice benefit. But yeah, yet again, another item which is actually quite balanced and thought out. Moving on then to number 15. We're getting close to the end. And we have... Burrow Boots. Eh? The Z axis is going negative now. Drill down and tunnel a distance in a line under walls, for instance. So basically, this is an item which would allow you to dig under the ground and go under a wall, potentially through like jungle, or you know, through walls to get from the side of mid lane into the jungle, maybe, depending on the distance. That could be both really strong, but also potentially very suicidal. Because I can imagine instances where you would burrow under the ground and then just pop up next to the jungler. Like in the jungle from mid lane or something. It does sound interesting though. I have no idea how they would code that or how they would animate that, because that would be really odd to see like Steel just casually burrowing underground because of some boots and just going through a wall. I kind of want to see it now. I really want to see that happen. But I think that is one of the strangest but interesting ideas that we've got. Moving on now to number 16. We have Galaxy Hammer. deal 20% extra pure damage, true damage then, to towers, Raptor, which is Fangtooth, which I said wrong earlier as Raptor as well, and Prime on basic attack. Increases by 1% for each tower, Fangtooth, and Prime the team has killed while the item is equipped. Alright, so you deal 20% extra damage to towers and basically objectives. So I'm trying to kind of think about where you would be in like the late game. You'd have 6% from the towers potentially. The inhibitors wasn't included, so that would be potentially 9% if you'd killed 3 inhibs. If you'd killed all prime ones, that'd be 10%. 3 Fangtooths, that'd be 13. It could potentially get up to like 33% onwards near the end. So that could be quite strong. Like really strong. But the chances of killing all those objectives in one game and not ending at that point seems unlikely. And depending on the price of the actual item itself, it could be impossible. Because the chances are by the time you've built this, you would have already killed a tower or 2. So it sounds like an interesting item. It would definitely help with ending the game. So that's good because, you know, there's always those points in the game where you need someone who can actually destroy towers, and this would enable you to do it. So cool idea. It's the first one to actually be objective based. So I like it. It's currently out of 16 unique to killing objectives. Moving on to 17, we have Eternal Bane. That's Bobber. Active. For the next 10 seconds, basic attacks ignore armor. Alright, that's immediately strong. You take 5% more damage on first damage source, 10% on second, and 15% onward for the duration of the active. The passive is attack speed increased X amount. Okay, so you get attack speed as like just normal. It would just be attack speed a normal amount. Okay, so it's an attack speed item. But the active is 10 seconds of ignoring armor. That's really strong. That's literally a tank deleter. Like, if you have a rampage, he ults, you're just like, well, goodbye armor. But you also take more damage, and potentially, based on the amount of sources, you would get deleted. So, it's a very double-edged sword, and it sounds interesting. The price would really determine where it sits in the meta and whether it's overpowered or not. I imagine, based on this, it's probably quite expensive just for the active alone, because, again, that is a tank deleter. And you have apparently submitted an image, so let's have a little look. Horned helmet, pierced by arrow, gunshot. Alright, okay. So you've got... It's basically, yeah, you basically have the same idea as me. There's just a tank deleter. Just remove armor completely, helmet being pierced. I like it. So, based on the fact that it's an arrow or a gunshot, I assume you wanted that to be for carries, because they're the ones that generally use range. So yeah, I can kind of see that. It's a strong item though, but it doesn't give any actual stat benefits, so yeah. But anyway, I should probably move on to the last item, which is, oh yes, Portal Potty, sorry. Yeah, this is Eldritch, and he changed the name just to be funny. It's PP for short. It gives you 200 health, 200 mana, 20 ability haste, and increases the cooldown of a hero's movement ability by 75%. But it adds 1 charge to the movement ability of your hero, and both charges refund at the same time. So, for example, if you have Gideon and he has a portal, you now have 2 charges of that portal. But the actual cooldown of it is increased by 75%, so it's nearly twice what it would be. So let's say, for example, like if it's 15 seconds, you're looking at what, like 27 seconds, 28 seconds, basically nearly double. I'm not doing quick maths while recording this, so if you want to work that out, feel free. But yeah, you get 2 charges, but there is a drawback to it. It means if you use it, I actually, that's a good point. One thing I never asked Eldritch about this is the fact that if you use one charge, does it put it on cooldown after a certain amount of time if you don't use the second charge? Because I feel that should be a drawback. Because otherwise you could just always sit on one charge. So I think if you use one charge, it should go on cooldown regardless after 2 or 3 seconds, just to kind of balance it out. The gold cost, I imagine, based on the stats, is around 2,000? Say about 2,000, because it's quite strong. Because you just get 2 charges. That'd be great for charging someone down, as well as just get out of jail free card, because you'd basically have 2 blinks, and then the blink that they give you anyway, on a 5-minute cooldown. But yeah, interesting item, could be cool. I think it does need a slight tweak on the actual cooldown. As I say, if you use one charge, it should go on cooldown anyway if you don't use the second one. But that's pretty much it. That is all the items that got sent in. I do think I'm going to do this again at some point because reading them has been interesting. It's nice to get some insight into what other people want to make. But that's it for all the items that were sent in my crazy drawings. Let me know what you think of them or which ones were your favourite over the 2 videos. But with that, I will see you for the next video.